Hey, I'm Zach.
And I'm Jesse.
And you're watching Tesla Time News.
Episode 200! Thank you so much, everyone. Thank you so much to our patrons for helping support us and getting us 200 consecutive weeks of Tesla Time News.
Yeah, and we just hit 200,000 subscribers, so thank you so much for subscribing and being a part of the show.
And as a little celebration, we have come out with a new intro. We hope you enjoy it.
That was fantastic.
Yeah.
Pumped me up for the show.
Absolutely. So,
you're a little dressed up.
Yeah.
Should
it's
I have,
episode 200.
Should I have worn a suit or something?
Okay, and the other question is, why are none of you dressed up? You knew that you were going to be watching this episode today. You knew it was episode 200.
Well, they usually
half of you are in your underwear. What's going on?
That's how they normally like to watch the show. I think you're going to have to down dress a little bit.
All right, fine. I don't want to make any of you uncomfortable. So this 200th episode of Tesla Time News was brought to you, as always, by our amazing Patreon patrons. They make this show possible. We would not have done 200 consecutive weeks of this show. We didn't take any vacations.
Nope.
Largely in part because our patrons are relying on us for Tesla Time News every week. And so if you aren't a Patreon, you should be thanking them, because you wouldn't be able to see this episode if it weren't for them.
And as Amazon associates, we earn from qualifying purchases. You can help out the show by using our Amazon link down in the show notes. And by clicking on that link, the next time you're going to shop on Amazon anyway, about 4 or 5% of your purchases will go to help us support the show, and it won't cost you anything.
And we're brought to you by Battery Hookup, the best place for all your DIY lithium-ion battery needs. Don't get ripped off, get hooked up. Now You Know viewers get 10% off by using the code NOW at batteryhookup.com.
And head on over to ecoware.us, where you're going to find new designs all the time, and we carbon offset the manufacturer, shipping, and life cycle of your purchases, and we plant a tree for every order. So get positive conversations started with carbon negative products. All right, so I thought we'd start off this 200th episode with a company that we love just as much as Tesla, I would have to say. We've grown to love this company a lot. This is Arcimoto, and well, let's just head on over to see what they're doing right now.
This is an auspicious moment. These are gifts from Oregon Startups companies to Mark Wahlberg for his 49th birthday. We're going to deliver these to him, and then we're going to deliver these vehicles to our partner HireCar down in Los Angeles. What a perfect test for the carrying capacity of the Arcimoto Deliverator. Easy peasy, lemon squeezy, with plenty of room to spare. And off we go. Step number 1 of our mission is almost complete. We got to unload, and then we're going to take these puppies down to HireCar.
Whoa. That's pretty exciting. Okay, first of all, I'm a little jealous. I'm the same age as Mark Wahlberg, and I wouldn't mind getting Arcimotos filled with gifts from startup companies in Oregon.
Sure.
Mark, if you want to drive them across the country in an Arcimoto,
That's
how
true.
long would that take?
Yeah, your birthday's in August, right?
Yeah.
All right, cool.
Let's see if we can beat Mark Wahlberg's pile of gifts there. No, but that's awesome. Let's talk about Arcimoto for a second here, because a lot has happened in the past few weeks.
Yes.
First of all, the share price has been on a tear. So take a look at this.
Right. If you remember not too long ago, FUV or Arcimoto was down at like $1 a share. And we were saying
That's way too cheap.
it seemed a little cheap, seemed like it was going to go up.
By the way, disclaimer here, Jesse and I are long on Arcimoto. So, I mean, don't take our advice. Don't take anyone's advice on the internet. Do your own research into how you should invest your money. But yeah, they just did a capital raise of $8.5 million. So they were able to sell shares for $5 a share. And instead of, people being like, oh, that means we're diluting, the share price should drop. The day they did the raise, the price went up.
Right. This is good news. And sometimes this happens in stocks.
Happens all the time.
For people who are like, well, it doesn't make any sense because logically it doesn't. It does, actually.
That is what the stock market is for, is
Right.
to raise money for companies.
And so if you raise money for the company, the stock price doesn't automatically have to go down. Basically, if shareholders feel that that was the right move, that basically they're not just cashing out for no reason, Arcimoto is going to be working on ramping up production and building more Arcimotos, which means that they're going to be selling more, which brings more value to the company, which brings more value to shareholders. So it does make sense.
Also, they retired a lot of debt. They retired $5.6 million worth of debt and liabilities, so the company is essentially now debt-free. According to Mark Frohnmeyer, the CEO and founder of Arcimoto, he said, the elimination of debt coupled with the recent equity raise significantly strengthens our balance sheet as we move forward to the next stage of development of the Arcimoto endeavor. This follows on the heels of our recent deployment of Deliverator pilot vehicles for ultra-efficient, pure electric last-mile delivery. As an investor, I have never been more enthusiastic about the venture. Converting the entirety of my debt holdings to equity was an easy call. Yeah, so that's great news. Also, really cool that Mark Wahlberg is somehow involved with the company. I need to know more. So, I know he owns an Arcimoto because I've seen him driving around in it on his Instagram.
Okay.
But, yeah, we need to know more about this because this is cool. Also cool to get to see his house. And then Sandy Munro. Yeah, so Galley over at Hyperchange hooked up Arcimoto with Sandy Munro, and as we've reported, he's working with the company now to make it so that their production is going to be even more efficient as they start rolling into more and more produced every day.
Right.
And then finally, you saw in this video here, they're working with HireCar down in LA so that gig drivers will have access to Arcimotos to deliver goods and services to people's houses.
And so a gig driver is the new hip term for a delivery boy. I mean, this is the new thing because it used to be the only people who delivered food were pizza and Chinese food, but now you can get any food delivered anywhere and at any time because that's the future that we live in. That's something that someone wished, rubbed on a magic lamp and a genie came out and they were like,
"What do you wish for?" And then they went,
"Oh, I wish I could just order any kind of food anywhere."
And he went, "I will grant it."
And then monkey's paw. You got to be careful what you wish for.
Yeah, but it makes life a lot more efficient if you're busy doing something during the day and you can get any kind of food that you want delivered to your job site.
And so how does HireCar work?
Well, so let's say you wanted to deliver food and you were faced with either using your own car that you had or maybe you didn't even have a car. Mm-hmm. So you can rent the Arcimoto through the HireCar platform and then use that all day. It's an electric car, and so you're saving money on fuel and it's not emitting any pollution. And then when you're done at the end of the day, drop it off with HireCar.
Interesting. So that's the HireCar platform, and Arcimoto totally lends itself very well to this because you can't really get a more efficient vehicle than this because you can't get a more efficient vehicle than the Arcimoto. I mean, you have besides maybe like an electric motorcycle.
Right, which you probably couldn't carry as much on.
Exactly. This, you could, you want to do some huge catering event, you could probably fit all of it in the back of the Deliverator.
Right.
Very cool.
So we're kind of lucky here at Now You Know because now we get people from all around the world sharing photos and videos of what's going on. And our buddy Matt shared these very interesting pictures that he took of what could be new hardware for the Tesla. Yeah,
so let's take a look at these pictures here. Great job, Matt, having your phone ready. I don't know how you were able to take these pictures so quickly. So we have the rear view of the Tesla. This is a Tesla Model S with what looks to be a giant mechanical spider on top. Now that is 80-20 aluminum extrusion. So that's used a lot in engineering where you're prototyping something.
Okay.
So this is not like the thing that would go out on all the Model S.
Right, it's to hold the sensors and stuff. So what are we seeing on that?
Yeah, so if we see this picture from the side, you'll see, if we can zoom in a little bit, there is one of the repeater cameras. So sort of in the front quarter panel of your Model S is what's called a repeater. It's, basically a blinker, and they also embed a camera in it. You'll see that there's another one of those hanging off of the 80/20 extrusion there. So this is very interesting.
Can I just conjecture something here? If you imagine this Model S was a Cybertruck, wouldn't that be about the location that you'd want to have the repeater camera?
It seems possible. Like, I don't know. But there are a lot more cameras on here than there are on, say, a Model S or Model X or Model 3.
Well, that might fit with my conjecture because a Cybertruck has this really big shape that you might need to cover with more cameras. Is it possible that they're testing out the camera locations for the Cybertruck without having to drive a Cybertruck down the street?
It could be. And another thing would be if you were trying to have an automatic trailer mode where you're going to be reversing trailers and you don't want to think too much.
Right.
And you just want to tell your Cybertruck, oh, I want to back up this trailer. It's hard to do. And maybe it's going to need a lot of cameras in order to do that. That's one possibility. There's another possibility that this isn't even Tesla.
It could just be a company that's driving a Tesla around to test their own hardware.
Right. Now, their own hardware, that's a little tricky because obviously that repeater comes straight from Tesla.
True.
So it seemed, and also another thing we haven't mentioned is that this is pretty close to Tesla's headquarters.
Okay.
So, I mean, there are a lot of different possibilities of what this could be. This could be some, hardware version 4, and it turns out that hardware version 3 doesn't even allow for full self-driving, and we were all idiots to assume that. And this is the real hardware, and I guess you're going to have to get a big thing put on top of your car if you want to drive it. We have a poll over on Patreon, so if you guys want to voice your opinions, we made a poll, so that way instead of it just being a noisy, crappy comment section where everyone's yelling at each other, we actually have a poll so we can see some numbers. So head on over to Patreon. You can support us for just $2 a month and get access to our polls and our Patreon bonus stories. It's a pretty good deal.
All right, so everyone wanted to know if the Q2 2020 delivery numbers would be high enough to get profit, and we don't know exactly if it's profitable yet, but we do know what the 2020 delivery numbers look like. Here is what they are. And so the big number here is down the bottom there. It's the 90,650 deliveries in the quarter. And I think largely this was possible because they had about 10,000 cars at the end of last quarter that weren't delivered yet. They were produced and on their way to owners, but hadn't quite made it. So this helped them out a lot, actually, because they got a 10,000 car boost. But this didn't quite beat Q2 of 2019 when they had 95,000 deliveries, but it's quite close, and there was no worldwide pandemic going on last year.
Right. So this is actually pretty darn good.
Yeah.
For delivery numbers. Yeah, I mean, Wall Street was thinking that they were going to be delivering something like 70,000 cars. So
Right.
this is a huge improvement as to what the market thought was going to happen.
I mean, this is awesome news, and it surely is what catapulted Tesla stock to new highs of over $1,200 on Thursday. Now, we still don't know if this means Tesla will be profitable in Q2, because remember that with similar sales in Q2 of 2019, they had a slight loss of $167 million. But it's still great news. Now, this chart from Hypercharts highlights another interesting point. Model Y still hasn't factored into the mix much yet. If you look at this chart, you'll see a little bit of green, and that is the Model Y. So primarily, this was the Model 3 still driving sales. And so I've got a conjecture here that as the Model Y really ramps up in production and people start really buying it in big numbers, you're going to see huge sales.
This is also really exciting as well because I was sort of expecting there to be a cannibalization of Model 3 sales from the Model Y. So a lot of people ordered the Model 3 because it was the cheapest, best car they could get that was electric. Now the Model Y comes out and you have this choice. You're like, oh, do I want a hatchback or do I want a sedan? I know that a lot of people like hatchbacks, but these numbers showing that the Model 3 had pretty amazing sales in this quarter, even with the global pandemic and even with the possibility of I might wait and get a Y, really shows that these are two very standout, different enough cars that it's going to capture two completely different markets.
Also, we mentioned this a lot, but the numbers of Tesla customers who lease a Tesla, it's just 4% of Model 3 and Y customers, is extremely low. And this shows that people want to own these cars. And to give you some perspective, the average lease rate of cars in the US, take a look at this chart here, from the first quarter of 2019, is over 32%.
Right. Now, Tesla did say that basically if you lease a Tesla Model 3, Tesla's just going to take it at the end of the lease, and they're not going to allow you to buy it back.
Right.
So that is one reason that a lot of people haven't leased, is because essentially Tesla has said that, like, and we're thinking probably for their, autonomous driving ride-sharing network, that would be why they want to do that. And that might scare off a lot of lease customers, but it might just push more people over to buying the car.
And maybe a clue as to whether Tesla was profitable in Q2, Elon sent a short email to employees last Wednesday saying, "Just amazing how well you executed, especially in such difficult times. I am so proud to work with you." I gotta guess that this might be a clue that they're profitable.
Yeah, maybe. It wouldn't make too much sense to me, I don't think. I mean, I know that for part of the quarter, the Fremont factory was shut down and they had furloughed a lot of employees. So you aren't spending much money there. Plus, you had the 10,000 cars from last quarter. You had a pretty good delivery number. So, I mean, I think it's pretty up in the air as to whether or not they're profitable.
Yeah, the earnings call and letter should be later this month. But if just 10,000 customers, let's say, upgraded to full self-driving or autopilot, Tesla could easily have added about $30 million to the quarter's bottom line. And that would have been for basically no expense whatsoever. Looking at Q2 of 2019, when they were $167 million in the hole, $30 million could push them up over the edge.
That's a good point.
We'll just have to wait and see.
Yeah.
Now, we know that Q2 has been an extremely tough quarter for all U.S. automakers. I mean, just take a look at this chart. It shows that BMW saw a 29% drop in sales in Q2. Fiat Chrysler, 25% drop. Ford, 23% drop. GM, 21. Honda, 23. Hyundai, 18. Kia, Jaguar, Mazda, Mercedes, Mitsubishi at 32% drop.
Right.
Nissan at 39. Subaru, Toyota, Volvo, VW. On average, a 23% drop in auto sales in Q2.
But hang on, you skipped over one.
Wait, did I?
Yeah, you skipped over Tesla. Tesla was up 13% in Q2. It was the only company whose sales numbers were up from last year's sales.
I just want to point out, this is like a perfect set of data, right? You've got every company in the world. So you can't just point to like, well, Ford just had a particularly bad quarter. Like all of the car companies experienced the exact same thing,
right,
except for Tesla.
Well, and they were going through the same thing. I think that the problem that we've been running into consistently is that nobody takes Tesla seriously because they just don't sell as many cars as Toyota or Ford or GM. And so people just assume that there's less demand because they aren't selling as many. If you're in the know even a little bit, you know that Tesla can't produce that many cars, and that's why they don't sell so many. This kind of proves that demand is not an issue for Tesla because all of these other car manufacturers lost huge sales when push comes to shove. When there's actual like, do I want to really buy this car? Most people are going to go, no, I will freaking wait. Absolutely. But when it comes to Tesla, more people are likely to buy this car.
And I mean, just look at how Tesla figured out how to deliver the car hands-free.
Right.
How many people do we know now who got their car without having to even meet up with the Tesla person?
Right. And what a difference that is between going to a dealership where you have to like go into some sleazy back room and the guy's like, well, let me tell you how much you're going to pay for your car.
So we interviewed Rebecca Dibbs-Simkin from Octopus Energy about how they actually paid people to use electricity. Hey everybody, Zach here with Now You Know, and I'm really lucky to have Rebecca Dibbs-Simkin with me today. She's the product and marketing director for Octopus Energy in the UK. And the reason I'm talking to you today, Rebecca, is we have a few viewers in the UK who emailed me a couple weeks ago, and they told me this incredible tale. They said that they were getting paid to use their blenders and use their microwaves. And I was like, no, I don't think that's possible. I think you must be mistaken. But then I read an article in the New York Times that said that was true. So I got you here. Tell me, is this true? Can you get paid to use your blender?
It is indeed. So, yeah, indeed, over a couple of weekends in May, over the bank holiday weekends, we did indeed pay customers to use power, to use their electricity.
What kind of business are you in? How can you make money, Rebecca, paying people to use energy?
It's a bit, and so we're an energy company, so we supply gas and electricity to homes throughout Great Britain. But we're a tech-driven energy company, and we're all about bringing cheaper, greener power to everyone around the world. Actually, we're in the UK. We're also in Germany and Australia as well. And our tech unlocks all kinds of cleverness within the energy system, which in some climates turns into paying customers for using power.
Wow. And so how did it turn out? I mean, did you have enough people using power, or too many, or what happened?
No, it was perfect actually. We in certain pots of customers we had. They were using 200% more than was calculated for that period. So there was a significant, within that pot, significant increase in demand. People did what they said they did. They only opted into it, but then they followed through. We've shared some of the findings with the national grid here, because it's the first ever consumer trial of this type.
Really?
Yeah, first ever in this country. I don't know whether it's been done elsewhere as well. So actually the grid that, forms that balance between generators and retailers was actually, genuinely really interesting. We shared those results with them because they have to work out how this works, right? It's not just a kind of cool thing to do and, amazing. It was picked up in the press and customers talk about it. It's not about that. It's actually about how can you actually move to a system where you can balance renewables, where actually, how can you get where you contact people all the time? And what I want to see is, we should be able to text people and just say, like, hey, there's a lot of energy, put your washing on now or put it on later, or, charge your EV at a slightly different time. And that's an incredible ushering in a totally kind of brave new world. And we also look at it for business as well. So it's not just consumers, but we have a business arm that does this kind of thing for small businesses all the way up to enormous businesses. So we power Arsenal Football Club is our biggest supplier. So it's kind of like, how can we use this technology for everybody? For we unlock this, cheaper, greener power.
Now, after hearing that, you might well think that can't be true. But here is our friend David in the UK who uses Octopus Energy to charge his Tesla. And a few weeks ago, he was able to charge it for free. Take it away, David.
Hi, Zach and Jesse. So today I'm participating in an experiment with my energy supplier, which is Octopus Energy. And for those that don't know, Octopus Energy is a UK energy supplier. They're probably the most popular in the UK with EV drivers because they've got some great tariffs for off-peak charging. So the experiment that I'm participating in is they've given me a 2-hour window where they're paying me to use electricity at 2 pence per unit. So I'm using as much as possible. So you'll see that we're drawing between 15 and 20 kilowatts. I have both our Tesla Model 3 and also our Hyundai Ioniq Electric on charge. We're cooking a Sunday roast dinner, and the washing machine and the dishwasher is on. And every battery powered device in our home is on charge. I've just mowed the lawn too. And also, this is while the solar is still generating about 3 or 4 kilowatts, since we're still paid in the UK to generate whether we use it or not. So this is all possible because today the weather in the UK is sunny but windy, so there's lots of renewable energy on the UK grid. And also being a Sunday and with the lockdown, electricity demand is super low. And in the UK, we've burnt 0 coal for electricity for 6 weeks. Normally, the national grid would be shutting down wind turbines to balance supply, but this experiment lets people consume more of the excess. So this demonstrates the idea that's been in the recent on-depth videos, that there's money to be made in using electricity when the supply is high and giving it back when the demand is high as well. And I think Tesla in the UK are preparing for this. So this brings us back to Octopus Energy, who are running this experiment, and they have a new Tesla tariff in the UK. They've not publicised it much. I think they're possibly waiting for Battery Day, but it's on their website now. To be honest, you have to have solar, a Tesla Powerwall and a Tesla car. The deal is that you pay 8 pence per kilowatt hour that you consume, but you also get the exact same 8 pence per kilowatt hour that you export back to the grid. Of course, you hand over control to the Powerwall, presumably to Autobidder, for the privilege of the cheap electricity 24/7. Now you know.
So if you'd like to watch the whole interview with Octopus Energy, we'll put the link right up here.
Now, I was just kind of blown away because it's one of those stories where I thought, I don't see how this can be true, that you get paid to use energy. But then hearing from the company, hearing from David, It's like, this is going to be the new future reality.
Right. So we go from one cool story from the UK to one kind of stupid one. So for the longest time, all electric scooters in the United Kingdom were banned. You couldn't have or ride an electric scooter.
Wait, what?
I don't know why. Maybe the Queen didn't like them. I don't know. But now the UK just passed a law making rentable scooters now legal in the UK.
Wait. So if you rent it like a Lime scooter, you can ride it. But
Yes.
if I own my own scooter, I can't?
Yes, private scooters are still not allowed.
Wait, what?
Yeah. So I just want to get down to something here. A lot of people don't like electric scooters for one reason. It's because Bird and Lime scooters, when they first started, they just dumped them out on the streets and just said, have at it. They didn't even have business licenses. They didn't talk to any of the cities that they were doing this in. Right. It was a mess. It was cool if you were like, whoa, it's a scooter. Oh, I can rent it using my phone. Cool, now I'm scooting. But then when you got to the place you were going to, there were no rules and you could just dump it on the street and people were tripping over them and lots of drunk people were getting into accidents with them. The problem here is the rented scooters, in my opinion.
Yeah, if you own your own scooter, you're going to be responsible with it when you get to your destination.
Exactly. You're not going to leave it out on the street for someone to trip over or for someone to light on fire or throw into a canal or anything like that. So the idea that just the rentable scooters are illegal but the private ones aren't is ludicrous. It is very, very, very dumb. Now, the reason they're doing this, of course, is because of coronavirus. A lot of people don't want to use the tube because they don't want to be put into a situation where they might catch COVID. Perfectly reasonable, and scooters are a pretty good way. All you have to do, is wipe down the handlebar,
right?
And you're pretty good to go.
Why not also allow you to use your own scooter?
Exactly. I don't know why.
So, and let me ask you this. You're driving along on your own scooter illegally. The police are going to be like, wait a minute, do you own that? Or did you rent it? So it has to have...
I painted lime on the handlebars.
Right.
So now it's legal.
I kind of think I would just write like LYME or something on the side of mine to try and... I don't know. That's ridiculous.
Well, the good news is if you privately own your own scooter, not that I'm condoning this, by the way, there's a much less chance that you're going to be like, pulled over and given a ticket. You'll just be, you'll much more likely blend in. I honestly think that private owned electric scooters are a much better solution to all of the world's problems because you're not going to have inexperienced riders as much. You're going to have someone who really knows that scooter well, is going to be taking care of it well, and know when there's a problem.
I would really love to hear from folks who are in the UK right now who are on either side of this issue. Like, submit a video contributor story. Let us know, like, maybe we're missing something here. But, like, yeah, I'd like to hear about your perspective.
Right.
So, according to data from Clean Technica, the Tesla Model 3 was the best-selling BEV in Sweden in the first 6 months of 2020. And I think this is really just good news. We've been reporting for the longest time when the Model 3 came out in all these countries about how they were best-selling. And then we kind of... the story got old. It was like, yeah, or you're best. But like, I think it's just good to remind everyone that like the Model 3 is such a affordable, wonderful car that it's getting huge sales numbers in all these countries.
Right. So Elon tweeted last Tuesday after the successful launch of another Falcon 9 that deployed the third GPS-3 space vehicle. So this is a new GPS?
Yeah, it's a military satellite that they launched, I believe. It's going to slightly make the global positioning system a little bit better. I don't know.
A little more accurate?
Jeez. So the military is able to get real accuracy with these satellites, and then usually we are given basically
a dumbed down,
right. So I don't know if this will actually give you a more accurate location of your car or not.
How close? Like, if you're a military, how accurate do you need to get? What are we down to? The centimeter level here? Like,
yeah, I think they are.
Are we shooting bullets with these GPS systems?
Yeah. They are.
Autonomous.
We're talking drones.
Right.
Yeah. All right. So this tweet came in to Elon from Bipole. He said, "What would Tesla use when Earth's lithium stockpiles are completely depleted? I hope that day doesn't come sooner than when crude oil meets the same fate." And Elon said, "All questions will be answered on Battery Day, September 15th. Will be webcast, although there is much to see in person."
Now, you might be thinking, why are you guys reporting on this? We already know that Battery Day is September 15th, but... look at the context.
Yeah, what question did Elon respond to?
Right. What would Tesla use when Earth's lithium stockpiles were depleted? And that kind of begs the question, what if you don't deplete those stockpiles because you can recycle the batteries?
I think the reason why he used this lithium depletion question to talk about Battery Day was that in the back of his mind, he's like, I can't wait to tell everyone about what's going on at Battery Day.
Right.
What is going to be released at Battery Day? Well, we don't know. But conjecture here is that something to do with J.B. Straubel's Redwood is going to be talked about. And Redwood is a recycling company.
Right.
So what if they're going to be talking about being able to take a battery, get most of the materials back out of that battery, put them into a new battery. That way you wouldn't have to go and get as many raw materials.
Right.
Boom.
That's huge. I mean, the other possibility is that they're like, we developed a battery that doesn't use any lithium. But then it's like, okay, well, you have to make a battery out of something. You can't just be like, this is a battery. Here you go. You'd be like, no, where is it? And they're like, it's made out of air. Like, you need something.
I mean, I'm sure down the road in the future we'll be using other materials besides lithium, but at the moment, I don't think that's what this news is going to be about. I think recycling is going to be part of this news.
Right.
We'll see. So we just learned from patent filings that Tesla and German biotech firm CureVac have jointly filed for a patent for a bioreactor for RNA in vitro transcription. Elon tweeted last Thursday, Tesla, as a side project, is building RNA microfactories for CureVac and possibly others.
Okay, and so this is going to go in the cars?
No, this is not an automotive patent at all.
Well, so then why are they making it then?
Well, this tweet might help answer it. So Sam said, what are your thoughts on the RNA vaccine approach, Elon? And Elon said, in principle, I think synthetic RNA and DNA has amazing potential. This basically makes the solution to many diseases a software problem. So I think this is Tesla's Grohmann automation team working on the automated RNA microfactories, and it shows that Tesla has this innovative approach to everything. They've now got such an amazing group of engineers that they can probably tackle just about any engineering problem there is. And so now the world is focusing on trying to solve a pandemic, right? And I think Elon's like, hey, we might be able to start solving future pandemics with this technology.
And so they're basically doing that? Like, I just can't believe that Tesla, who has nothing to do with genetic research whatsoever, is just like, oh yeah, we'll do some RNA stuff.
Well, I mean, they're partnering with the company CureVac in Germany that does do RNA stuff. And I think that's the great thing about Tesla here is you can take these amazing minds that they have at the company and work on all sorts of problems. We saw it already with making, say, ventilators. They've never made a ventilator before, and yet they were able to spit one out pretty quickly.
Yeah.
Using Model 3 parts.
Right. Yeah. No, that is pretty wild.
And then Eva Fox said, Tesla filed a joint patent with CureVac for COVID-19 vaccine research. And Elon said, others will probably pass human trials first, but this machine is pretty special for generalized vaccine production. Was originally intended for rabies, which is a very tricky virus. So yeah, that just shows that that's what they're probably going to be working on.
Wow.
So now on the Tesla website in China, Tesla has apparently opened up reservations for the Cybertruck.
Interesting. So these reservations cost about $140 or 1,000 won, and the full self-driving package is 64,000 won or around $9,000. So we don't know what the cost is going to be in China specifically, but you can put your reservation down.
Right. We don't even know if the truck's going to be made in China or not.
Right. But I have to think that Tesla has such a strong brand in China that Tesla could be unlocking the truck market in China, because currently in China, pickup trucks are not very popular vehicles. And I think that basically what Tesla could do is create the Cybertruck as such a status symbol. Like, it is such a, eye-catching car and so different that I think that, China, which has more millionaires than every other country in the world, this could be the millionaire's car in China. Like, it would be, or at least one that's going to be sitting in their garage somewhere. I really think that if Tesla wanted to, they can tap into a high profitability, especially if they keep the price of the Cybertruck in China high before they start producing it in China. And what this can do is that if all the millionaires in China want to buy the Cybertruck, it's going to be a very popular truck. And then what Tesla can do is start producing the Cybertruck in China, lower the price, and get the rest of the market.
They could create a whole new market segment in China. I mean, basically, this is the dream of every auto manufacturer, right? Is to find something like a minivan that they introduce and then control for years and years.
Right. And I honestly think that this could be it.
Yeah. In a market that's 3 times the size of the U.S.
Right.
Now, we are sponsored by Cybertruck Owners Club, and so if you'd like to find a crowdsourced reservation tracker that you can update yourself, and if you'd like to check out news, discussion, and community for Cybertruck enthusiasts and future owners, head on over to Cybertruck Owners Club, where there's also a 3D configurator allowing you to visualize the Cybertruck in any color, wrap, and logo, both on screen and in augmented reality.
So, according to local media reports, Tesla has submitted an updated plan for environmental approval for Gigafactory Berlin.
In the updated plan, Tesla is asking to, first, cut down 30% more trees, 193 acres versus the 154 acres of forest on this 300-acre site. Secondly, battery production plans have been removed from the application. So let's just stop there for a second. I thought the whole point of a Gigafactory was to make your batteries on the same site.
Right. The next thing was that drive unit production has been moved to a new building. Tesla has reduced peak water needs by 33%.
Disposal systems and wastewater treatment have been moved next to the main building, and they've removed mention of 500,000 vehicles per year. Now they're only talking about 100,000 or more. So I got lots of questions here. First is, why remove all those extra trees?
Well, reportedly, they want to build a new test track. So don't build the battery production, but you're going to build a test track. So this kind of raises the question, has Tesla run into so many roadblocks in Germany that they are scaling down what they want to do with this Gigafactory, and that they are going to be building a second Gigafactory in another country that might not take so gosh darn long?
Yeah, because keep in mind that you're right. In Germany, they are not going to get actual final approval from the local government until September, most likely. And so everything they're building right now is at their own risk, meaning if final approval doesn't come, they may have to actually dismantle what they built. And so every day that Tesla's building something new there, they run the risk of the government saying, hey, no, we didn't approve that, take it down.
And so this might be one reason why they're trying to scale back what they're doing in this update, by basically saying like, oh, we're not going to be doing as much, so there's less of a chance that you're going to say no. Then later on, you could say, oh, and we're going to build a battery manufacturing plant there as well. So it doesn't necessarily mean that they are going to be building a new Gigafactory somewhere else that will be supplying batteries or something else to this Gigafactory. And it also doesn't mean that they're never going to have battery production at this site. It just means that at this point, they might be scaling back what they're asking for because they might have heard through the grapevine that they might not get approval.
It also could mean that they are going to look at another site to build out a second Gigafactory somewhere in Europe as well. My guess would be like the Netherlands, which would basically hedge their bets in case something didn't work out in Germany. Because let's remind everyone, in China, they built at an astonishing speed because the approvals all came in, and the building itself was super fast.
Right.
In Germany, they may be able to build super fast, but if you can't get the approvals you need, you're going to be slowed down. Right now, the construction is supposed to go until March of 2021, and then Model Y production is scheduled to start in July of 2021. That would be a year from today, Europe, to get your Model Ys. So the National Highway and Traffic Safety Administration, NHTSA, has started an investigation into Tesla.
No, we covered this last week, right? That was the older MCU would die, and so that's why NHTSA was looking into it.
Well, this is actually a second investigation covering something else. Reportedly, on the Model S 2012 through 2016 models, there is a potential battery coolant leak that can occur. And so NHTSA is looking into whether or not that should be probed.
Interesting. And I think we're going to talk a little bit more about this in Patreon bonus story because it gets kind of nuanced.
Exactly.
So we'll talk about it over there.
So Oscar and Hamish is a UK company, and they sent us this cool Tesla luggage that you're seeing here on screen. They make luggage just for Teslas. Now, this luggage is handmade in England, and what I really love about this, the reason why we're talking about it here on the show, is that this company makes a product only for Tesla.
Right. And it's designed to fit in the frunk of both the Model 3, and they also make some for the S and the X.
Yeah, and what's so cool about this is that look at these battery-shaped bags here. What I love is that they're a starting point for positive conversations, right? So if you walk around with these battery bags, you're inevitably going to bump into people who are like, why are you holding battery bags? And then you can talk about, oh, well, my car is powered by batteries. What? Your car is powered by batteries?
Right.
Yeah, it's electric. What? It's electric? And you can go down that road with them and introduce them to something completely different just because they talked about your bag.
Right. And the other good thing is that it fits in your frunk. And the frunk is kind of a funky shape. They also make one that fits entirely in the frunk, so that your entire frunk is essentially luggage storage, as opposed to being one, duffel bag. You can fit in two.
And I want to let everyone know that we have another channel called Now Let's Review, where we cover all sorts of cool electric mobility products, primarily sustainable products. So go over there, check it out. We'll put the link down below.
And that's where you can check out the full review of the Oscar and Hamish luggage.
Okay, I don't know why I'm continually surprised by other people's stupidity, but this story takes place at La Cantera Luxury Resort in San Antonio, Texas. A Tesla Model S Cheetah owner handed over his fob to a valet, but he didn't put the car into valet mode. So what did the valet do?
He did this. Yeah, that's right. He launched Cheetah mode and crashed it. Luckily, the event was captured by Tesla's integrated dash cam. The valet company has reportedly provided the owner with a rental while the car is being repaired, and I'm assuming that the valet has been fired.
I hope so. I mean,
that's so
based on two reasons. First of all, you should not take someone's car and do that with it. But secondly, if you are going to race a car around,
don't crash it.
Don't crash it.
Right. Like, I mean, that's like the first rule of valet joyrides, isn't it? Don't crash the freaking car.
Right. I can't figure out how he even crashed it because there was nothing. It wasn't like something jumped out in front of him. It wasn't like he didn't know this parking lot well.
I'll tell you why. He had his phone and he was going, "Hey guys, check it out," and he was not paying attention to where he was driving.
And I think his second part was that when he floored it, he was probably used to a gas car, which is like,
right.
And he thought like nothing's happening yet, and
yet he was hurtling at 50 miles an hour towards nothing.
And also, I just want to say, while the owner's car is being repaired, I believe that car is totaled. I mean, did you see the jump that car made?
Yeah, I think they're going to come back and it's going to be totaled. And that, I mean, and honestly, I would want a new car after that. I would not want the car that I have to remember I gave to a valet. Now, put the car in valet mode. Tesla made a valet mode. It's the only car company in the world that has a valet mode. You can have a Lamborghini, and if you have to get it valeted, guess what? They can drive the Lamborghini however they want. There's no valet mode for Lamborghini. Tesla's introduced valet mode. What does valet mode do? I'm glad you asked. We have a whole video on it. We made it quite a few years ago.
Yeah, Jesse was a valet.
It slows down the car. It prevents you from doing exactly that. It puts it into a boring car mode, so that way your valet can't be like, "Awesome, check me out. I'm in valet mode. I can only go 45 miles an hour."
And it also locks the glove compartment.
Exactly.
So Chinese automaker BYD just introduced the battery electric SUV, the Tang, in Norway.
This is one of BYD's first electric passenger cars being sold outside of China.
Now, we don't have many details yet, but the Chinese version has an 82 kilowatt hour battery for over 300 miles or 482 kilometers of range. Now, keep in mind that's NEDC range. It costs about $36,000 or 350,000 kroner, and production will start in November and deliveries will start in January of 2021.
So this is kind of big news to me. Now, obviously, Norway is a very big EV market country. I mean, we're talking close to 50% market share of battery electric vehicles. So great market to get started in. Here is the important thing that I think might happen. If you are Audi, or if you are BMW, or if you are, even Volvo, and you're like, they're doing what in Norway? They're selling a Chinese car in Norway? I think that this is going to get the attention of auto executives more so than even the Tesla Model 3. Like, even when they're like, oh, they're taking 30% of our market share? But I think as soon as it's like a pride thing, they're going to be like, what? It's made in China!
I hope you're right, but I think that because it's Norway, a lot of auto execs are like, well, Norway's this weird little spot.
Norway schmorme.
Yeah, I mean, they have a different approach to everything.
Right.
They adopt EVs so much earlier that I think a lot of auto companies are like, well, that's just an outlier. But I hope you're right. All right, 32 and a half years.
No, we've only been doing this show for like 4.
I'm not talking about that.
I'm not 32, Dad. I mean, come on.
No, I'm talking about this. In 2007, solar PV systems were estimated to last, on average, 21 and a half years. Now, researchers at the Lawrence Berkeley National Laboratory have projected that solar PV systems installed in 2019 will last 32 and a half years. And a system installed in 2007 cost, on average, $305 per megawatt hour. Today, guess what that cost is?
$250?
1/6, $51 per megawatt hour. Now, I want to ask you, what other human-made thing can sit out in the pounding sun, rain, wind, snow, ice, and still work for 32 and a half years?
Constantly. I mean, it's
Day
always
in, day out.
running.
Just works.
Like it's always
There's
working.
no things to adjust, no things to replace.
I mean, roof shingles, you'd be lucky if you had a roof that lasted 32 and a half years. You'd be like, and by the end of it, it would look like crap. Right? Like if you had a roof that had been sitting on your roof for 32 and a half years, you'd be like, it's time to change the roof.
Right. And it wouldn't have been doing anything other than just keeping the rain off for 32 and a half years.
Right. And
it wasn't making electricity.
every single day.
Right.
So, I mean, and this gets back to this argument that we hear a lot where it's just like, oh, well, solar panels only last like 8 years. And then when you're like, no, they last longer than that, then they're like, well, okay, I guess it's like 20 years. That's it. It's like, that's like it. You don't get any longer than that. Now you can be like, well, it's actually 32 and a half years. So, I mean, it already made a lot of sense to go solar, in my opinion. Like, I mean, just from the standpoint of like pollution, like solar panels are just a no-brainer. So, I mean, now it's 50% more of a no-brainer.
Yeah, and if you're looking to get solar in your house, but you got lots of questions, call up the team at Energy Pal. We work with them all the time because they're energy geeks that help homeowners to get solar for less. So you don't have to pay them. That's paid through the installer, and they're there to answer questions. Take your time. They're not going to pressure you. We've heard so many good things from customers we've sent over to them that we're positive you're going to have a good experience with them too.
We'll put the link in the description below. You'll actually help support the show if you get solar installed through Energy Pal.
Yeah, and they now offer power walls. So go do it.
Go try it out.
So remember when we reported on the Bargersville, Indiana Police Department, which bought 5 Model 3 police cars last year?
Yes. I do. And there was some hope that it was going to save them money and that there would be a positive addition to the police force.
Well, Bargersville Police Chief Todd Bertram answered Chris Nellum's question last week on Twitter. Chris said, "Is this the future? Do you feel like the experiment has gone as planned, better or worse?" And Todd said, "Better. I think the break-even point will be more like 19 months rather than 24 like we planned before." Remember that Bargersville replaced their Dodge Chargers with Tesla Model 3s, and the Dodge Charger is about the same upfront cost as the Model 3, but you get to save about $6,000 a year per car in gas per year. And that's because a police car is driven a lot. And according to the chief, they estimated that they would save $20,000 per car over 6 years. So I just want to conjecture here that they've already seen a huge savings that they didn't expect,
right?
20% more than they thought. And I'm guessing that at near the end of the life cycle, because they're predicting that they'll use this car for 6 years, I'm predicting at the end of 6 years, they'll be like, there's nothing wrong with the car. Let's keep using it.
Right. And that would further increase the savings because you don't have to then buy a new vehicle. Yeah, I mean, the payback period of 24 months was already pretty amazing. Now we're talking 19 months. It just makes a lot more sense.
Yeah, because the other thing is police cars are sitting in there idling all the time. Right. In an electric car, you're just sitting there. The motor's not doing anything, so you're not putting wear and tear on the car, and you're not burning fuel, and you're not polluting.
Right. And you're quieter, and
you're faster. You can catch people.
Right. And there's no chance of you getting carbon monoxide poisoning.
And the car's safer.
Right.
Anyway, this is going to be a clip on our Now You Know Clips channel. So if you know of a police officer or a police department you'd like to share this with, go over to our Clips channel, and you'll find a nice short clip that you can share. All right, it's time for our video contributor stories. And hey, you know what? It's our 200th episode. Let's have 2 video contributor stories. What do you think?
Oh, boy. I hope no one gets mad.
All right, this is sponsored by GoPuck. If you're looking for a powerful little battery that you can use to charge up all of your devices with, head on over to GoPuck. The link is down in the show notes. All right, so we're heading over to Andy's backyard to check out his solar.
Hi, Zach and Jesse. This is Andy sending a contributor story from California. What I wanted to show your followers is a particular design of arbor that I did 20 years ago when I was considering putting solar on my house, or actually not on the house. I didn't want to drill holes through the tile, and I was apprehensive about having leaks back in the days when they weren't sealing them up very carefully. So in order to avoid doing that and putting the solar panels on top of my house, I designed this arbor. It's virtually a 13 by 34 foot arbor. And on top of these arbors and the barbecue area, I've got a 10 kilowatt solar system. It is completely detached from the house. The Arbor was designed actually on a CAD program that I did back 20 years ago. Back at that time, I got a 3.8 kilowatt system. But since that time, I have bought 2 Tesla vehicles, a Model X and a Model 3. And we also have 2 Powerwall 2 batteries. So I needed to upgrade the solar system. And as a result, I went with this brand new setup that now is a 10 kilowatt system and virtually charges my 2 Teslas and the Powerwall 2s and the house. And I am completely off the grid when it comes to electricity. I haven't had an electrical bill for the past 20 some years. The only bill that I have is with the gas portion of PG&E. So just wanted to pass that on. If anybody's interested in getting a design of this Arbor with the solar panels that are supported very carefully and have weathered many storms, I'd be willing to share that. So, Zach and Jesse, now you know, from Andy in Morgan Hill, California.
Well, thank you, Andy. That's really cool.
And let's do the second one. This is from our friend Brian reporting from North Dakota.
Hi, Zach and Jesse. Brian from Minnesota here. As you know, it's been pretty exciting for our neighbors in North Dakota lately, and it's been fun to see how you've been talking about them on your channel. As the Superchargers lit up across the state, we were invited to a ribbon cutting ceremony in Dickinson on June 20th.
And we're open!
It was so fun to celebrate with some of these EV pioneers, some of whom have been driving electric for over 6 years without proper infrastructure. This had been adding days to their trips or hundreds of miles to get to a supercharger. Still, they believed in the mission and now get to enjoy the full Tesla experience. There's been a huge uptick in Tesla traffic there already, but it's not my place to invite you and your viewers, so I'll let them do it.
We want to invite everyone to Western North Dakota and especially Dickinson and Prairie Hills Mall. There is so much for you to do and to see, and we are literally 2 blocks off of the interstate for you to sit and charge your car. But don't just sit in your car. Get out, walk around, enjoy a coffee, enjoy a lunch, go get some snacks at Cashwise, cruise through Prairie Hills Mall.
And 2 blocks on the other side of the interstate, you can visit a dinosaur museum. We're about 35 miles from Theodore Roosevelt National Park, so you can drive through there after charging up in Dickinson.
And if you need information about Theodore Roosevelt National Park and Medora, stop in the mall. We have a kiosk that is full of information for you. There's just so much for you to do, and we are very happy to be your host.
I know my family and I are excited to get back up there. Thanks for watching, and now you know.
Wow, that happened so fast.
I know.
There used to not be any superchargers in North Dakota, and now there are.
Right.
And it's opened up a whole new way across the country.
Right. And I'm just so glad to see so many people so excited about it. And yeah, I mean, you wouldn't normally think like, oh, I'm going to go to North Dakota. People would be like, you're going to go where? Now with superchargers, you're like, heck,
yeah,
there are superchargers there. I'm going.
Did you catch the Cybertruck hat?
Oh, I missed that.
Hey, Brent Bobby, can you find the Cybertruck hat and show it to us? Just really fun to see so many people excited about superchargers opening. All right, it's time for our Patreon bonus story. So if you're new to the channel, maybe you're one of the new subscribers, and thank you for joining us, head on over to Patreon and join us for as little as $1 a month, and then you can watch all of our Patreon bonus stories, which is basically like a whole other show every week that we do just for you.
Oh, and you know what we're going to be talking about? Have you seen that article bouncing around the internet where like someone thinks that Elon should be ousted as CEO of Tesla?
I did.
Yeah, we're going to be talking about that on Patreon bonus, so be sure to go check that out.
All right, we're back from our Patreon bonus stories. That was a whole load of fun.
I love our patrons.
So good.
I love talking to our patrons. You guys are fine, but our patrons are great. I have to be honest.
Well, let's give our shout outs here for patrons.
Yes.
These are our patrons who give us $5 or more a month. Who do we got?
We have Adrian Gannicott,
Greg Bauman,
Douglas Harrison,
Brent Warlick,
David Glover,
Mauricio Torres Madrid,
Daniel J. Stewart,
Andrew Green,
Randall C. Ross Jr.,
Alan Schimpf,
Tom Dillon,
Jay and Christina,
Brian Henry,
and Bill in Seattle.
thank you so much to all of our wonderful Patreon patrons. We can't do the show without you, and
we wouldn't want to.
We wouldn't want to, honestly.
All right, it's time for Elon's Tweets of the Week. It's a long one. He's been busy tweeting,
a lot of
so
tweets.
dig in there, get your popcorn ready. Here we go. Governor Kevin Stitt of Oklahoma said, Oklahomans, we're getting close to the final Tesla decision and we need your help to make one final push. Please go to TulsaSaysYes.com, make a few clicks, and send Elon Musk a personal tweet at the end. Let's make Oklahoma Cybertruck country. And Elon says, wow, I've never seen this level of support. Out of respect, seems like I should at least visit.
And then he did visit.
So on Friday, he headed over to Oklahoma and he said, thanks for hosting me in Tulsa today.
Yeah. And so they had like a little tent. They sat out where the Gigafactory might go. And
wait, but I mean, we're pretty sure it's happening in Austin, Texas.
Well, it's not confirmed. So
wow.
Not, so yeah, it's really on the fence. And again, this is great for Tesla because Elon can just go back and forth between Austin and Tulsa and be like, oh, well, Tulsa said that they're going to give me a free cotton candy machine. And then he goes back to Austin and he's like, well, they said that they're going to give me a merry-go-round. Like, whatever they want. That's how businesses kind of do this sort of thing. But it's really great that Tesla has such appeal in both places.
Yeah. Tesla owner Silicon Valley said, can we get an update on Tesla Kila?
Elon said, coming soon.
Well, I've heard that before.
I know, right? Okay, I'm ready.
Viv said, creating the news instead of reporting on it is widely recognized theory and media science. Elon said, the news is sometimes created, but always curated. The latter is most pernicious. On any given day, there are thousands of potential stories. By picking which stories are written about and how prominently they're placed, a handful of publishers control much of the public narrative. And that's exactly why we do this show. We want to be an independent source of news. And yes, we do pick stories, but they're not the same ones you're going to hear about in the mass media.
Right.
Elon said Tesla will make fabulous shorts in radiant red satin with gold trim. And Pope of Muscanity said, can they please have flames on them? I beseech you. And Elon said, okay, fine. Then Elon said, we'll send some to the Short Seller Enrichment Commission to comfort them through these difficult times. And then Elon said, SEC, 3-letter acronym, middle word is Elon's.
And so then Sam sent him a message. And Elon said, not bad. So Elon didn't say anything mean or bad or evil.
He's just having some fun.
He's just having some fun. And he didn't say it.
No. And then Teslarati put out this great article about Tesla crushes Wall Street's Q2 estimates with over 90,000 deliveries. And then Eugene Lee 3 said, tsunami of hurt. And Elon Musk said, I tried to warn them.
And he did. Let's just be clear. He did try to warn. He's been telling Big Auto to make electric vehicles for so long, and they have not listened one little bit.
And then Viv said, who likes short shorts? And Elon said, great song. I love that. I hope that's his ringtone. And then Holm Mars said, how's the autopilot rewrite going? You guys calling it PlaidNet? Elon said, going well. Team is kicking ass, and it's an honor to work with them. Pretty much everything had to be rewritten, including our labeling software, so that is fundamentally 3D at every step from training through inference. Then Tesla owners East Bay said, any updates on reverse summon? Elon said, a lot of functionality will happen all at once when we transition to the new software stack. Most likely, it will be releasable in 2 to 4 months. Then it's a question of what functionality is proven safe enough to enable for owners.
Cool. So just for everyone, reverse summon is where you send your car to go find a parking spot for you, which means that you just get to pull up wherever you're going, get out of your car, and everyone's going, hey, you can't park there. And you go, no, don't worry. And then it drives away with no one in it. And everyone goes, what?
That's going to be awesome. Renata said, any news on SpaceX's Hyperloop competition? Will it be canceled or just postponed due to COVID and travel restrictions? Elon said, we need to finish building a much longer vacuum tunnel for speed tests and probably have an additional competition for tunneling itself. Then Renata said, thanks. Will it be 10 kilometers long as originally planned or shorter? Elon said, aiming for 10 kilometers with lots of turns to better approximate a real-world tunnel.
Which is going to make the tunnel testing a lot more interesting because so far we've only had a straight track. You can imagine that once a pod comes off of the track, now this is pod racing.
Yeah.
Now this is pod racing.
And then Brad Mark said, hey, Elon, you said recently that if anyone would know about aliens, it's you. Here we are a few months later, and the government have confirmed a bunch of sightings. Do you still think that we are alone?
Elon said yes, which is a pretty confident statement
Yeah.
to make about a negative thing.
Yeah.
Like, are we not alone? Yes. Okay, that's pretty conceivable. The are we alone? Yeah. So, I mean, I think he means, have we been visited by aliens? And he's saying no.
Right.
Okay. All right.
Eva Fox said market cap is $200 billion. And Elon said party on. Tesla and the Gong said any thoughts on stock split so that more fans can become investors? How about, say, 420 entry? And Elon said worth discussing at annual shareholders meeting.
Interesting.
A stock split would be kind of cool.
Now, does that mean that he's going to bring it up at the shareholders meeting, or do we need to have people sign up to petition to get this?
I don't know. Yeah, I
split?
mean, I think on say.com would be a great place, or maybe an investor initiative.
Yeah.
But yeah, let's get talking about it.
So then let's just talk real quick about it. Do a stock split. Now it's at a lower price. More people can buy one share of the stock or multiple shares of the stock. Because like right now with it being at $1,200, are you really going to buy like one share for $1,200? Maybe I only have $600 to invest. So.
Right. And then this tweet from Christopher Dungeon, he said, this is a quote from Steve Jobs. Innovation has nothing to do with how many R&D dollars you have. When Apple came up with the Mac, IBM was spending at least 100 times more on R&D. It's not about money. It's about the people you have, how you lead, and how much you get it. And Elon said, true.
Yeah. And Elon totally gets it. And again, the people that Elon attracts to his companies are the people who want to change the world. They are not the people who are like,
I want to do not much and get a nice hefty paycheck.
Right? Those aren't the people who go work for Tesla. That is why Tesla is succeeding, because those people go work for GM and Ford. And Tesla gets all the people who are like, let's change the world. Let's go.
And then lastly here, Kanye West tweeted, we must now realize the promise of America by trusting God, unifying our vision, and building our future. I am running for president of the United States. And Elon said,
you have my full support. Now, a lot of people took this very literally. They thought that Elon really, truly does support Kanye. There is some evidence for why he might think that.
Yeah, they do hang out.
I do think that this is more of a dig against the other presidential candidates, because he's not excited with either of them.
Right.
And okay.
All right, it's time for community mail time.
So Gavin just got his new T-shirt.
Awesome.
And you can see he's watching the show. Thank you, Gavin. And Winder and Alba just got their new Tesla Model 3.
Sweet.
So
I love
this
seeing
is technically Alba's car, so gotta let her drive it.
Jerry just got his new Model 3, and look at the car matches his wife's bag.
Wow. Did you get the bag to match the car, or did you get the car to match the bag?
And
That's
you know,
the question.
this is his third EV.
Wow.
Look in the background there. That's his Bolt.
Nice.
And then this is Sean and Maggie's new Model 3. Sean here, patron and longtime viewer. My wife Maggie and I were finally able to trade in our Cadillac ELR for a brand new Model 3 dual motor FSD. Thanks for the show we watch every week. Our 8-month-old has watched it with us every Monday her whole life, even the day she was born.
That's honestly a little weird, because I started this channel and we're like, oh, it's a new thing. But for her, it's the oldest thing.
Yeah, we're like Tom Brokaw for her. You know?
Who?
There you go. And then here's Kevin showing off Tesla's new service center and gallery in Wisconsin.
Hey, Zach and Jesse. This is Kevin from Wisconsin with some great news. I'm standing outside of Tesla's first brick and mortar location in the state of Wisconsin. This facility is a service center and gallery. It's located on West Silver Spring Drive, right off I-41. A long time in coming, indeed. Now you know.
Thanks, Kevin.
All right, it's time to show the results of our 2 polls this week. Our first poll was, will it float?
And so you can see that 59% of people said that it would float.
It's going to do it then.
Or actually, more than 59% of people. Some people thought it was going to be a submarine. Some people thought it was going to be like a speedboat. And 24% of people said that it would not float. That it is just a truck, not a boat.
All right. And what was our second poll?
And then we said, okay, but if it does float, we said, so most people thought that it would float for a little while. It wouldn't have much propulsion or steering or anything like that.
What does that mean? Float for a little while till it filled up with water, or float?
I think that it wouldn't be expected that you'd like keep it on the lake all summer.
Okay.
You know what I mean? Like
It's
probably
just for quick stints.
across the river, across the pond.
Okay.
Not the pond,
Right.
But
and that's
a
what
pond.
that's what most people thought.
That's what most people thought. I mean, there were lots of options here. So obviously, everything from hydrofoil attachment. It's going to be we just had people chanting submarine. People thought that it would be an option that you'd need to buy, but that it would come with some form of propulsion and steering as well. So,
wow.
I mean, people are very confident.
It's exciting.
Again, we don't know anything for sure.
Yeah, and again, go over to Cybertruck Owners Club because this is the place to talk about it.
Absolutely.
All right, it's time for our Supercharger reviews, and they're sponsored by our friends at Evannex, the Tesla community's accessory store. If you're looking for awesome accessories for your Tesla, check out Evannex and use our discount code NowYouKnow to save you $10 on purchases over $100.
Hi, Zach and Jesse. Just took delivery of my Model 3, and I'm supercharging right now at the Atlantis Hotel and Casino. And right now they're closed, as well as everything else around here, so there's nothing to eat, nowhere to go to the bathroom except the bushes, and yeah, there's only one other person here with me today. There's 6 stalls, not very much, but in downtown Reno there is a new supercharger with 20 stalls or 16 stalls, and I'm gonna go check that one out a little later. And I'd give this one maybe for the times a 5 out of 10. Anyway, now you know.
Hey Zach and Jesse, this is Jeff in Japan, and I'm currently in Tama Center near the KO line and the Odakyu line, destination charger. Right here it is. Besides the pasta restaurant, there's also a yoga studio. And if you walk 12 minutes, you can go to the KO Tama Center station. That's the home of Hello Kitty. And there's a Sanrio Puro Land amusement park located there, along with many other restaurants. And I think that's about it. I give this place probably 6 out of 10 because you do have to walk a little ways to get to other places. But besides that, it's pretty convenient. So now you know.
Hi, Now You Know community. Mike here at the 6-stall 150 kilowatt supercharger in Butte, Montana. The supercharger is a little bit hidden in the parking lot right next to this casino and restaurant. It's a Mexican restaurant right here. Over there's a City Brew coffee shop, and over here we have the Perkins right next to the Best Western Hotel. On the other side here, this is the mall, the shopping mall in Butte. There's multiple other restaurants up that direction on the main road here, and I would rate this probably a 7 out of 10 right here. Supercharger in Butte, Montana. Now you know.
Hi Zach and Jesse, I'm here at the brand new Northbrook Supercharger. It's a 250 kilowatt supercharger. I am charging up my 2015 Tesla Model S. So obviously it's not getting the max 250 kilowatts, but we're here, we're trying it out. I'm here all by myself right now. There's 8 stalls here, charging stalls, so lots of space. And it's in the middle of a big shopping area, so if you look behind me, you'll see there's all kinds of shops. We have a Potbelly, there's a CVS pharmacy, there's a Lowe's home improvement store. It's in the parking lot of an REI, which you can see back there. There's a Roadie, which is a Mediterranean grill place, haircut place, Whole Foods grocery store, all within a short walking distance. So again, here at the Northbrook, Illinois Supercharger, I'd give it an 8 out of 10.
Hi, Zach and Jesse. This is Greg from Pennsylvania. I am in Boyertown at the Boyertown Museum of Historic Vehicles. I'm charging my Tesla Model 3. That's my 5th battery electric vehicle. Here at the museum, they have 2 Clipper Creek 32 amp units and 4 48 amp Tesla destination chargers. The museum itself is very interesting. A lot of Pennsylvania automotive history, as well as electric vehicles. They have a number of electric vehicles inside the museum, many of which are over 100 years old, as well as an old electric vehicle charging station as well. Very interesting place to stop. Highly recommend it. Also in town here in the area, there's a number of restaurants and pizza places, so there's plenty to do if you want to pick up a couple hours charging. This is located about 40 minutes south of the Allentown Supercharger. Come check it out. Easily an 8 out of 10.
Hey Zach and Jesse, it's Dave here in Wyoming. I'm in Casper, Wyoming at the 8 stall. Anyway, it's located in the Hat 6 Travel Center right off I-25. And it's in the parking lot of Hooch's Bar and Drive-Thru. It's brand new, 250 kilowatts, and it's located pretty convenient. It's right next to some fossil fuel pumps here, and behind me are diesel pumps for the big rigs. I give it about a 9 out of 10 for food. Apparently there's a lot of stuff to eat. Anyway, this is Dave, Casper, Wyoming at the absolutely brand new, open today, 8 stall, 250 kilowatt charger in Casper, Wyoming. Now you know.
That's EV Dave there at the end, who is lending us his Model 3 performance so we can make it with our race car up Pike's Peak for the Electric Performance channel. So if you haven't heard about that yet, head over to the Electric Performance channel where we got Blake Fuller driving the car, getting ready for Pike's Peak, which is happening in August.
And you can get your name on that car. I think
there's a few slots left.
Just a few slots left. You can also get one of these amazing shirts. It's got stuff
all over it.
Electric Performance. We got race support. We got stuff on the back. It's pretty cool. We also have jackets and hats and other stuff that you can get there to help support the team because it's getting exciting. We're putting in the roll cage.
I know. It's going in right now.
We've done some testing. We've got some tires. And here's the coolest part too. It's going in the production class. It's going to have the stock suspension.
Yep.
It's going to have the stock motor, the stock battery. It's basically a Tesla Model 3 performance that you could buy, bolt in a cage, put on some fresh fancy tires, and wrap it, which is optional.
Right.
That is a race car.
Got it.
Boom.
Yep.
So that is really cool. So if you own a performance Model 3, you should probably just check out the channel. Just be safe, you know.
All right, it's time for the new superchargers that have gone online this week. What do we got?
We have the 8-stall 150 kilowatt in Getafe, Spain.
We have the 4-stall 250 kilowatt in Taipei at NTU Xinghai, Taiwan.
The 20-stall level 3 supercharger in Langroningen, Norway.
The 12-stall 150 kilowatt in Colchester, UK.
The 8-stall 150 kilowatt in Big Sky, Montana.
The 8-stall version 3 in East Louisville, Kentucky.
The 8-stall version 3 in Evansville, Casper, Wyoming.
The 20-stall version 3 in Beaumont, California.
The 8-stall at Nyoga Hoshigauka, Japan.
And there's more. The 12-stall 250 kilowatt in Rijswijk, Netherlands.
The 14-stall urban supercharger in El Cerrito, California.
And the 14-stall 150 kilowatt in Chicago at O'Hare Airport, Illinois.
Illinois? And wow, that was a lot of superchargers.
And you know what? It's our 200th episode. I thought we should just do a little more than normal for our giveaway.
Okay.
So get that thing on up here. Let's give away 5 t-shirts. These are the 200th episode special edition t-shirts. You can only get them for a limited time on ecoware.us.
So you can buy these yourself if you don't happen to win.
If you don't happen to win. So wait, because you might win it. So
before you go buying one.
Right, let's see.
Okay, let's see. So I need
pick out
5 names.
5
here.
names.
Okay, all right.
Who's our first winner?
Suzanne Wakano.
Congratulations, Suzanne.
Okay.
Let's do another one.
Colin Siche.
Congratulations, Colin.
Ulf Asplund.
Ulf. Congratulations.
Andrew Green.
Congratulations, Andrew. One more.
Mike Electric Future.
All right.
Congratulations.
You guys have all won our 200th episode t-shirts. These will be like collector's editions someday.
And these go back in because
you have a chance to win again.
You have a chance to win again. And you've made it to the end of the 200th episode of Tesla Time News.
Wow.
That is a lot of episodes. That's a lot to get through. So if you're like a new viewer and you're like, uh-oh, There's 200 episodes I have to get through? No, because guess what? It's the news.
Right.
You don't go onto CNN and you're like, oh no, I have 100 years to catch up.
But I will say, if you want to know everything there is to know about this subject, like you could become an expert by watching, it's like a podcast that has a bazillion episodes.
That's true. That is a good point. Another thing is we should probably write a history textbook.
A textbook?
I'm serious. I really think.
Kids, take out your books.
A history of Tesla.
Yeah, I love it.
I mean, we've
Chapter 1.
We've lived through the tail end of it.
No, you're right. I think it's a great idea, except I don't want to do it. But
I don't want to do it either.
What would Chapter 1 be? The Roadster. The Roadster.
Would it be the Roadster?
Or would you do a preface where you talk about all the people before they came to the company?
Yeah, no, I would talk about way back. 1900s.
Oh yeah, we go back
the first
to
electric
Baker
cars.
Electric
Yeah.
No, that's a good point.
Go back to Benjamin Franklin.
Right.
Did he really invent electricity?
No.
Are you kidding me?
No.
Really? It was Benjamin Franklin?
No.
Oh, I happened to create the country of... July 4th was yesterday, from when we recorded. He really created the country and then was like, I also invented bifocal lenses and the... Are
he
you
was very
sure
good.
there wasn't some guy who was like, Mr. Franklin, I just love you so much. I invented electricity. I thought you might want to have it because it's so cool. And you're such a cool guy. I just think that would be great.
Right. I'm sure it's a lot like Edison, where he had a lot of people around him, very smart people, and he stuck his name on it.
He's like, I fly a kite in the middle of a rain.
Yeah.
Come on.
Yeah.
Come on.
Volta. Come on. He invented the battery. He knew what he was doing.
Yeah.
Faraday. These are guys that knew what they were doing. I think, I'm sure that Franklin was
we got
a
a whitewash history a little bit.
Exactly.
Benjamin Franklin was the coolest dude. Like our country.
Exactly.
All right. Anyway, that was a weird turn of events there for Tesla Time News. Thank you so much for joining us on this crazy, crazy journey. We'll see you next week, as always, because it's been 200 weeks in a row.
I'm really excited about episode 208, because that would be our 4th year. So that's why I'm not taking this that seriously.
It's not that seriously, but you get the intro, and still no outro. Still just us schlubs talking about whatever is on our mind. Hey, thank you so much, and we'll see you next week. Now you know.